Our chief guest, Mr. Taikhoom Bhai Sahab, Shahzada Huzaifa Bhai Sahab Mohiyuddin, Head of Department of the Dawoodi Bohra's Identification and Data ITS, Sigatul Amalat, Maktab Mawarid Bashariyah, HR Department, Burhani Sports. He's on the board of directors for several welfare organizations. He's executive board of Dawat Hadiyah, Kardan Hasana, Board of Education of Dawat Hadiyah, Burhani Gaz International, Dairato Tolobal Kulliyatil Mominin, Hizbul Mafsehil Kiram, and MSB Educational Institute. May I now request Taikhoom Bhai Sahab to please address us.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah wa salamun ala ibadihi alladhina istafa. Esteemed guests, it is a great honor to be amongst this elite fraternity today. First and foremost, I would like to thank Dr. Muhammad Bawaji and the National Leadership Summit organized by CP HR Services. And thank you for connecting so many different experts from so many different and diverse fields. Thank you. I am humbled to speak in front of such a respected gathering of company executives, the educationists, and HR experts. And the additional burden of being called the chief guest is daunting, because compared to this audience, my grasp of the subject is very limited. However, if we observe any organization, we will undoubtedly conclude that human resources are the most pivotal and the most important resource. And on the other hand, the most challenging to manage, if at all human beings can be managed. As Dr. Abdul Bhai Sahab rightly said, that the human factor is very important. All the other resources can be managed, but the human resources, because of the diverse cultures, the different backgrounds, and the emotional aspect, is very difficult to manage. There's an apt saying by an HR scholar: the hardest challenge of being an HR manager is that you sometimes have to be the lawyer, the judge, and the hangman. I should know. A few years back, I was part of a team that was given the task of reorganizing the Bohra community's field offices across the globe. There are approximately 500 field offices around the world. And they were diverse, geographically diverse, culturally, linguistically, and in different areas of the world. It was the vision of the leader of the community, Ad-Da'i Ajal Sayyidina Mufaddal Saifuddin, the 53rd Da'i Mutlaq, to divide the work of the leader, the Amil Sahib, amongst 12 different departments, such as the education department, the nutrition department, the health department, etc., etc. This had a two-pronged goal. One, unburdening the leader from micromanagement, and two, involving more members of the community into the leadership roles. This would in turn bring about meaningful change in the local community in line with the challenges of the times, while maintaining the strong foundations of our religion and culture. That was the vision of His Holiness Sayyidina Mufaddal Saifuddin. So I took up the task in my limited capacity. One of the most essential departments for the success of this exercise was the Human Resources Department. So there were 12 departments in each community center, and there was one Human Resource Department. The people of the community answered in droves to the call immediately. 100,000 people volunteered for the different services. But the key word is volunteered. The first and most significant challenge, according to me, in HR for my community is the nature of the HR. There are volunteers. I have always liked the motivational theory of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Abdul Bhai Sahab talked about the X and Y theories. I'm going to talk about the Maslow's theory because I like it a lot. It says that a person is motivated first by their physiological needs. Once those needs are met, safety needs become important. After that, they move higher up the pyramid to belonging needs, and then the esteem needs, and finally self-actualization is achieved. While looking at HR in my community, I have noticed that while these needs are important, the community members had an immediate connection with the vision of His Holiness to serve the community, which cannot be theorized in any of the conventional theories. There was one theory that said servant leadership. So I would say that the servant leadership within our community is of immense importance. So the Maslow's hierarchy of needs leads you to self-actualization. But I would say that the community bonding over service to each other and the community is way beyond that. However, there's a problem to that. On the one hand, the passion for service is unwavering. But on the other hand, the time they could sacrifice, they get the food. You do a sports program, the sports program can be seen. But outcomes are directly related to input. But HR is like the invisible hand. It does all the difficult work, but does not get any credit for or acceptance. Am I correct?
Yes.
The HR people in the audience. In addition, we are faced with the challenge of a skilled workforce unable to bring change to the community organization. As the saying goes, "Ghar ki murgi dal barabar." The current administration with an old style of work was not comfortable with the new changes. So the new entrants had to adapt to the old style and forego the beneficial skills that they were going to bring to the organization. Another challenge was allocating the right people for the right job. My community, having a high level of literacy, have the skills to run all departments, but they were not willing to give their time. The people who had volunteered for service were not always the best fit for the job. The solution was to create a two-tiered system. The experts and skilled individuals were given a policy-making scope of work, and the time was limited to 2 or 3 meetings per week. Alternately, the people who put in the time were in charge of executing the project according to the policy laid out by the policymakers. So this was just a small solution that we came up with. And these were some of the challenges that we faced, and I feel that all of us here can relate to these challenges. The solution, the bigger solution, I think, is to create a culture of training and development within each organization. The Prophet Muhammad salawatullah alayhi has said, learning is a continuous process. Min al-mahdi ila al-lahd, from cradle to grave. So that culture of learning should be imbibed into each and every individual of our community, of our organizations, and that culture has to come from above. Sayyid Fadl Saifuddin, when laying out the foundations of the HR department, explicitly said, all our community organizations should be trained and developed in the best possible way to render the service of the community and humanity at large. It is clear that a continuous learning culture is the only long-term solution to our HR challenges. I believe a good training and development culture is the cornerstone for developing leaders with humility, passion, excellence, integrity, and empathy, who serve their organization and humanity at large. And that is the reason I think we have gathered here today. Thank you all, and I would like to thank the organizers and the audience as well. Thank you for coming today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your motivating words.